Then let's look at the physical features. How do those qualities translate into physical features? I mentioned some things about how the body temperature tends to be hot. Because of high metabolism, even though they eat more, their frame can be pretty medium, sometimes stocky, because they can assimilate a lot of nutrition in their body. They also have redness about them because the blood is a seat of Pitta. That is described like that because blood has a highly volatile and metabolic activities going on, and so that translates into having redness on the skin or red features. Often redheads are actually pretty fiery in their nature, and they have a Pitta type of a nature, but it's not necessary because they can have Vata or Kapha associated with them, but that redness shows up in the Vata. So symptoms with a lot of redness like skin rashes or pimples or inflammations in the body, red eyes, redness on the tongue, these are all signs of Pitta aggravation that can be tended to clinically and through our day-to-day life. And so those are Pitta aspects. So you can read over this list a little bit more closely. Then there is the Pitta dosha in terms of the mental, emotional, memory aspects. Very sharp memory for the Pittas, but that sharpness is specific to things you find interesting, and your recall is very selective. And so if someone tells you something unpleasant that you don't want to hear, you'll forget about it. You're like, did you say that? I don't remember you saying that. And you'll argue with them that you did not say it. I know it. Whereas you will remember what you said or what is meaningful to you. You said that. I remember because I have good memory. You'll have this selective tendency. That is because Pitta has this quality of what works for me and what doesn't. And so they remember what works for them and often forget what doesn't. And so that selective memory shows up in that way, which is not a bad thing. It just leads to some funny situations. Then the mental activities, Pittas are very focused, especially things they're interested in. If they're not interested in, they're gone. And so you have to make things intellectually interesting or in some way that engages their will, inspires them, engages their passion for them to be focused. If they don't have passion, they're not doing it. They don't have feeling behind it, they're not going to do it. And if you have work where you don't feel passionate or you don't have feeling behind it, you're going to be constantly frustrated with that work. And sometimes we have to do that kind of work because that's what we're good at. You have to make up for that somehow, because you need to feel your passions and your self-nourishment and spiritual nourishment that happens by pursuing a hobby and doing something that is truly interesting to you, truly engaging to you, truly inspiring to you, will help you to balance the frustration with work. So cultivate a hobby. Do something that will help you feel like you're playing or being productive in the way that is using your intelligence, using your creative power in the way you value. Okay? All right. Behaviors, again, their tendency is to very focused, sometimes hyper focus on things. Often they might focus on things that are not working, and so that'll get them to be very critical about themselves first. Pitta people are more critical about themselves than they're critical about anybody else, so they don't feel bad being critical about anybody else because they're so much harsher on themselves. You have to balance that with focusing on what's working also. So when your mind tells you what's not working, you should say, what is working? Okay? All right. What's not working? Okay, what's working? All right. So what you're doing is you're giving your mind this balancing dialogue. Rather than just focusing on what's not working, you're giving your mind an equally balancing what's working. Because when something is not working, what we can do is build on what's working and improve what's not working. If we build on what's working, we go in with a more positive mindset, and it gives us more creativity to improve on what's not working. If we go in with a negative mindset, we feel stuck and trapped, and we get frustrated. That kills your creativity. Okay? So, something's not working? What's working? All right. Thank you for playing with me on that. Like I said, there's a myth that Pitta people are angry people. Though they might display more anger and more irritability than others, it is important to notice what is underlying that anger. Is it a current anger that is related to things being inefficient, something being unjust, unfair, being done wrongly. That can be current anger, or it is an unconscious, subconscious anger related to old things. Having a critical parent, or having a traumatic and stressful childhood, or having traumatic, stressful events in life, a difficult boss or something like that. And then that translates into irritability because you cannot go back in your past and fix those things. The anger keeps on spilling in the present. And so you have to tend to that so that you can get out of this myth that you're an angry person. You're a reasonable person. Pittas are the most reasonable people. Pittas are the most logical people. That you have to know about yourself. And then when you blow out this myth of I am an angry person and lean into where is my logic leading me, where is my reason leading me, you will see that either there's some correction needed in the present moment, or there's some healing needed from the past in order to manage the anger and irritability. Consider that for your well-being. All right. Now, Pitta balancing is about moderation. This is important to consider the metaphor of a wildfire. A wildfire does not know moderation. It just keep on burning as long as it will be allowed to burn, right? And so is the Pitta. If they're passionate about something, they're committed to something, they're pushing themselves hard, or they have some internal sense of I need to be productive in order to be valuable, I need to be creative in order to be valued, I need to be smart in order to be respected. These kinds of beliefs will make them work too much, to the point of burnout. The most work-related burnout people I see, they're coming in this Pitta category. They have some aspect of Pitta that's leading them to overwork and lead them to burnout. Okay? This doesn't have to be just professional work. This can be work at home. This can be work in terms of your art or creativity. You're overworking because there's not that internal sense of what is moderation and what is enough, because you're trying to make up for something inside of you.